Out west, you're going to hear a lot of talk about the top three, OKC, Denver, and Minnesota. You're not sleeping on them. But do you think there's a team out west that people might be sleeping on when it comes to a squad who can be the biggest threat to the Nuggets this postseason? You mentioned the Mavericks just now. Mm-hmm. Are the Mavericks that team in your eyes?
I think they're one of the teams.
Okay.
Because for me, I'm a little old school in my beliefs. And what I mean by that is, like, at the end of the day, it's about who has the best player if both teams are, like, two good teams. And when you think of Denver, like, you have playoff Jamal. Like, there's the legend of playoff Jimmy, but there's also playoff Jamal. He is a playoff riser. And so he just plays at another level. And the two-man game between him and Jokic really kills teams. But the Mavs have Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving as a number 2 option is a great number 2 option. The Warriors know that personally. and you know, it, like, they're just a legitimate threat. And, like, they have, like, they're getting support from everywhere. PJ Washington's playing great. Like, I mentioned Gafford already. Like, their team is very well rounded. And so I just think that they could challenge a team like Jokic because you have a player on the other side who's also an MVP candidate. Who, I mean, I didn't say this earlier, but if somehow they could find their way into a top 4 spot, that could also potentially have Luka push things and people say, you know, he's the MVP or the voters, you know, go in his favor. So, but you have Luka who can play and you have the Mavs who are playing very good right now. So they would be like my number 1 team to be a threat. But if the Clippers get back Kawhi, and I know with the Clippers it's always if, but they were playing amazing basketball during a stretch that was like one of the healthiest of his career, and Paul George. And if they do, I just think you cannot sleep on the Clippers. People will discount them. I don't think you should. And then I don't think that the Lakers have anything for Denver. I don't think anything's changed from last year. Mm-hmm. And I know people are going to say I'm a homer. I know the Nuggets won every game against the Warriors this season, and I still think the Warriors can challenge them.
Okay,
if they can get there.
Okay, you got the Warriors right. You're right. They got to make the playoffs first, and
they have a lot. They need a lot of things to go their way. So I'm not, but I do think the matchup presents issues for them, and I think because the Warriors are playing much better now, like, they're just not the team that they were earlier in the season. They've had one of the best defenses. They've been top in offensive rating, defensive rating. I mean, they've just been better. It's undeniable. And so if anyone's going into that matchup thinking it's the Warriors from earlier in the season, they would be mistaken.
They'd be mistaken. You're right. They have played better ball, and sometimes with a veteran team like that, they get confident. They make the playoffs. They get in. And I think you're right about that, too. The Warriors, they ain't scared of nobody, right? They're not looking at the defending champs. They're being scared. They're like, we've done this before. We can do this. This is what makes it interesting. I found the Clippers interesting because, you know, people say, Clips gonna clip. But the way they were playing when they were healthy with Kawhi, you're right, they're very scary.